It's unprecedented, as you mentioned, and it's just, calls into question for a lot of people the fairness and judgment of the judicial system to go after someone who's not just a former president, but also a candidate for president, also currently the leading candidate for president for one of our two major political parties. It in effect is taking away from voters the ability to pass judgment on Donald Trump and what he has allegedly done and whether he would make a good president again in the future, and putting it in the hands of judiciary, a very politicized judicial component of the executive branch here.
From what I can understand, Christian, we're told that documents were found at Mike Pence's house, that documents were found in Joe Biden's basement, that Hillary Clinton had all sorts of important data on her private email server, that Barack Obama had some documents. We're told, please tell me whether this is right, but we're told that the difference is that when they were questioned, they gave the documents back. And the accusation is that somehow Trump tried to impede that process.
Well, Hillary's in a little bit of a different situation. She willfully created this server. You're not really even supposed to remove. The Secretary of State can take some classified documents home to read, the only person in the agency who's allowed to do that. But creating a server within her home that was separate from the U.S. government, that processed top secret information and a category of top secret called sensitive compartmentalized information. That really was beyond the pale. It's in contrast to what Biden alleged or did do, in fact, and what Pence did, which is a little more understandable, maybe not as forgivable as their supporters would like you to believe, but that in the rush to get out of the White House during a transition, a lot of stuff gets thrown in boxes and it's not carefully segregated out. If you believe the allegations, and that's all we know so far, the actual allegations, Trump has called this a witch hunt, but they haven't they haven't presented their defense, nor will they for some time. But if you believe the allegations, Trump did tell people that this is still classified. So that's going a little bit beyond what Pence or Biden have done. So once again, Donald Trump, is probably being treated very unfairly here. This is calling into question the sanctity, if you will, of our judicial system. I'm not sure if it's ever that sanctimonious, but he's also his own worst enemy in many ways, because if what he did as alleged is true, it's kind of dumb.
You've worked with him. I've known him for that period of time. I get on very well with him. I know that he's a warrior. I know that he's a fighter. I know that nothing ever stops him. The key question, Christian, is, to date, the other cases, civil cases, haven't done him any harm at all. We know that the base won't believe a word of this. We'll see it as a politicized judiciary. We'll see it as an outrageous abuse of power coming directly from the White House. The question is, what about those middle swing voters? Do they say this is all just too much? We can't have a president that gets put through all of this. Or do they say, fair's fair, what's been done to him is wrong? Isn't that what's going to decide the next presidential election?
I think, yes, you're right. But I think where it will soften support potentially is among Republicans, some of whom actually say that their first choice going into 2024, not many people are actually focused on this election. It's still more than a year away. Say their first choice is Donald Trump. But then if you press them how hard their support is, they'll quickly say, well, of course, I'd also support Ron DeSantis or someone else who's running too. And it's that sort of soft support of Trump that I think might erode, because this is a little different. The charges against him leveled by this aggressive prosecutor in New York City, which seemed completely bogus. No one even understands really what he's alleging, versus this, where it's a little more understandable. Oh, he took documents, and according to the allegations, he knew that these documents were ones he probably shouldn't have. You might have people say, God, this guy is going to be so distracted by a criminal case against him, and he's running a campaign, and he's 76. Maybe we should just go on to the next guy. So we won't know until we have the caucus in Iowa, the primary in New Hampshire and South Carolina. But I do wonder if that sort of second, if people who are considering their second choices might consider it harder now.